You're about to learn, by watching this, how to break the chains of false belief and transform your identity and your future. Every single time you apply the strategies you're about to learn in this video, you will change in your life. Every time I come across someone who's been struggling for years, it's the same thing every time. And what's the one thing that if you now apply will change everything in your entire life? Well, my name's Dave Wood, and I wanted to welcome you to this episode of The Daily Shortcut. I was thinking about something today that I've observed for years in this industry of struggling internet marketers and entrepreneurs. It's not their Facebook strategy, and it's not their link building that's broken. The reality is that these reasons are rarely the issue with people who struggle for a long time. It could be over a short time, it could be a tactical thing, or a long time, something totally different. Because the real reason people struggle has nothing to do with the traffic generation or any marketing strategy. Their problem is that their beliefs are all messed up, and because they don't have beliefs and values in alignment with what they want to create, they constantly are sabotaging their own future without ever realizing how easy it truly is. And when you learn what you're about to understand for the first time in your unconscious, you will change now as you pay attention to this episode of The Daily Shortcut and easily absorb every word that I'm about to say. You may realize something interesting about yourself. You may experience an internal shift inside that ultimately leads you to make a new decision. See, people struggle because of this hidden force they feel behind their daily actions. It's like something is behind the scenes keeping them from success, you know what I'm saying? People say these things all the time. The hidden force that rules your mind, that dictates your behavior, and that tells you what to do and how to think is actually something I'm going to describe. See, what this hidden force is, it comes down to a single word, and that's a belief. I remember a time in my life when I was nearly broken. I'd earned millions of dollars online, I had traveled the world, I had created events with thousands and thousands of people and done things that are dreams and fantasies for normal everyday men and women around the world. Fantasies, right? Of success creation, of wealth, of influence at my fingertips. And then one day I had a series of experiences that nearly broke me from the inside, and I felt like I was going to die. Yet instead, something else happened in my life. How many people do you know that work extremely hard to do what they do? They create vision boards, they set goals, they work late nights and weekends just to get things just right, and yet they're still struggling for some reason to get what they want, and they don't understand why. See, almost all the time it's actually because of false beliefs about themselves and the world. Mental blockages trapped deep down inside their unconscious mind that they're constantly trying to get rid of, and they're getting in the way of creating the future they desire to create now in the quickest and the easiest way, like it should be. The thing about limiting beliefs is that you can rarely see them in their true and their pure form, because success comes effortlessly as you're gaining momentum in your daily action plan as you watch each new episode of the Daily Shortcut system and you pay attention carefully to each strategy. Effortless power, powerful success, and successful transformation will be yours. You can have it all. So you're gonna find this interesting because it's Independence Day here in Costa Rica, and you could actually hear this probably in the background. There's like cops driving by and there's fireworks exploding, and I'm just gonna keep talking and sharing. And so I hope that as you're hearing those, what you realize is that no matter what's going on, if you focus and pay attention, you will be able to create great things. So I'm about to break on the inside, and the world felt as if it was caving in and exploding on me. I remembered this drawing I had seen as a child of the Incredible Hulk in a Marvel comic book as a child, as a building was about to crush the people he loved after collapsing in an explosion. And there was cops and policemen all around digging and trying to save the people out of the building as he was standing there protecting the people that he loved and screaming through the sounds of explosions, holding the building on his back until they could be saved from the looming destruction. I felt like I was an angry and twisted Bruce Banner that day, a mad scientist turned into an adrenaline-filled monster, preventing the collapse of my world and defending the people I loved from it with all of the force inside as there continued to be explosion after explosion in my environment. Only there was one difference between the comic book and my world. My building was just in my mind. See, beliefs are like operating systems. They control what you can and you can't do, regardless, or whether you can or whether you can physically do things or not. Beliefs are the things that are behind them. See, if someone is told that they're stupid their entire life and they don't cancel that belief out with something more reflective of their beautiful and divine nature, it becomes a part of their self-image and the belief system to not act in an intelligent and a powerful way. See, if somebody tells you you can't keep making a video while there's constant sounds of police and explosions in the background, you might believe that was true until you saw this video, and it makes you pay even closer attention, doesn't it? Because you have to focus on my words and pay attention through the noise. See, the person with that false belief about themselves might hold on to it with them their entire life, like the twisted green mad scientist in the comic books, and subconsciously move away from anything that requires what they perceive as too much intelligence, too much focus. They might be holding up a world full of excuses on their back that aren't even actually there and won't actually stop them because they have the power to change things anyway. They're simply a painting in your mind, and as the artist of your life, you have the power to simply pull out a paintbrush and begin to carefully design a new beautiful world for yourself and the people that you love. And you're going to find something true, as Neo did in the first Matrix, as he walked in to visit the Oracle and saw a little small bald child bending a spoon with his mind. Because as the police are going by in the background and there's exploding fireworks, you'll find the interesting thing about beliefs is that they can be changed instantly, and no matter what happens in your environment, just like that, your whole perception of reality can change, along with the actions you're taking and the world around you, as you realize you are not holding a building on your back. The cop sound is not stopping me from making this video. The explosions aren't distracting me. They're actually adding to this content. And maybe the building isn't even there. Maybe the police aren't even there. And maybe you're standing in the middle of a field of gold-laced beautiful roses that have a scent that's so enchanting that you can forget the sounds in the background and you can pay attention to the sound of my voice. Because through daily conscious effort, you can alter your deep-rooted unconscious beliefs. You can construct a new building to step into that's resistant to all forms of explosion, that's resistant to all sounds on the outside. It's resistant to the explosions in the background, the terrorist attacks, the negative forces in your life. And you can stand strong on a sure foundation of prosperity and abundance in your life and create a new future. And how can you change your beliefs now and get what you want to get in your life? Well, I'm not going to break down exactly how these beliefs affect your daily actions. I'm going to break down part of it because I just did that in a previous episode of the Daily Shortcut. However, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed up the change you're experiencing by helping you realize the truth. And that's that you're stepping into a new building now. You're taking the perceptions in your environment from what you're feeling now in a new way. You're going to speak with the oracle of your success like Neo did. She's got some focused looking bald children dressed like monks sitting cross-legged on the floor as there's sounds of explosions in the background, and they're calm. And one of them is staring intently at a spoon that's bending without any external force. As there's all the distractions in the world, they're paying attention anyways. And suddenly the child looks up at you as you're doubting your long-held beliefs and notions about time, space, matter, and energy, realizing your brain can just shut off the distractions and pay attention to what it wants to. Because the problem with false beliefs that we usually create is that we create them as children. We actually start operating on them throughout our life, and we reinforce them again and again until eventually they become a part of us. And we unconsciously operate as if they're real and limitations or they're boundaries on our existence, but they're not. See, we think that we're in a building looking at a small bald child in red-tinted Buddhist garments bending a spoon with his mind in a movie. We think that the building is collapsing, and we think that the cops are there. We think that there's explosions and wonder if it's actually fireworks, if I just put this in the video with the script. And as the building's following, we think we're holding it up all by ourselves with our sheer force of will, and we have to fight to stay alive and to fight to create a new future. We feel like we're under a collapsing building as the sounds continue to fade away. And we feel the weight on our shoulders, and that it takes all the force in our being to hold it up. And the child looks up at us, and after taking a calm breath, he begins to speak. And if you believe you're limited to a particular way of living or being, if you believe that you have to make a video in total silence, then you are. But I want you to ask that to any elephant, because elephants have been known to die in fires because they think they're trapped by the 2-inch band of steel that's loosely wrapped around their leg, not even tight. This 2-inch band of steel is attached to a chain that's maybe 6 feet long. Now the chain is attached to a stake that's been driven into the ground, and it's clear that any grown elephant could easily and quickly pull out the stake and run away and escape, but they don't for some strange reason, and they don't ever do it. The elephant was first chained to the stake when it was a baby, and it wasn't strong enough to move it. It tried again and again to yank the stake free, but soon accepted it as a lifelong limitation, as a part of its world, and decided that the pain was not worth the effort of attempting to break free. I remember working in a cubicle and constantly lifting my eyes up to just take another look at the clock as the second hand was slowly ticking by 1 second at a time. By the time the elephant is strong enough to free himself, he stopped trying, and he's now confined to live a life within a 6-foot radius because he thinks that that thing is stopping him that's not. Human beings aren't so different, actually. See, many of us, we live our entire lives within these false chains that are tying us down, even though they're completely non-existent, or we could break out of them in an instant right now as you're watching this. You may wonder if there was actually police sounds. You may wonder if those were real explosions, or maybe I just put them in the video, or you imagined them. Who knows? We're thinking about the chain that's holding us down, and we believe that stake will keep us fixated in one position and cause us incredible pain if we attempt our escape to the world of freedom, and we look down at a metal clasp, feeling discouraged. And then we realize that unlike elephants, we have a mind that can break the limiting chains of the past that's been holding us back from creating the future that we want. We can shatter the false chains and break free, or we could realize the truth. And then the child speaks his first words and asks you a question. He asks, "So are you wondering how I'm bending this spoon right now?" Now, every one of us in our life have ideas about ourselves and what we believe is true. Whether they're true or whether they're not, it doesn't really matter, because your unconscious mind agrees with everything that your conscious mind is telling it. After hearing a message so many times and maybe agreeing with it and not challenging it, the unconscious operates on the basis that the message is absolutely true and valid, based on the fact that most of our daily actions are unconscious. If we have bugs in our mind, like false beliefs, you can see how it can really screw around with our success. See, when I talk to people who clearly have belief and identity issues, and we all have had them come up from time to time, none of us are excluded. These people don't generally even realize that those are there because it's hard to diagnose ourselves, right? They think that they're stupid, or maybe they think they can't make money, or whatever the false belief is, without even realizing the truth about themselves and what they have the power to create. Simply because after hearing something for so long, you stop recognizing it for what it is, which is just bullshit, and automatically we can stop being aware of the false information and simply believe that we're chained to an immovable stake on the floor that gives us no possible option to change now in an instant. So scratching our heads, we wonder where we went wrong. A boy is called selfish as a child whenever he's asked for something. His mom says, "Who do you think you are? We're not made of money. You can't just ask for anything." And so as a result, a child in his adult life maybe settles for a marginal, limited existence, subconsciously believing he doesn't deserve wealth or abundance in his life. Yet what does the enlightened child inside of you say as it leaps out and breaks free of the chains, once again stepping into your life of freedom? So how am I bending the spoon? The child asks as you listen in wondered intent. A young girl once grew up in a family of 3 older brothers. Her parents are constantly admiring the brothers, telling them how clever and smart they are. She never receives the admiration or the attention that she wants and needs from her father, and starts to believe she's not the beautiful and powerful creation she's designed to be. Maybe her parents tell her she's not the brightest tool in the box, or we don't need another intelligent person in the family because you've got good looks. So she grows up subconsciously moving away from anything mentally challenging, resulting in a mediocre life and career, not realizing her parents were simply in a kind of pain she didn't understand at the time, and if they had told her the opposite, she'd believe that too, and also act in a different way. And she could believe something different now. See, these false chains are everywhere, and almost everyone has them in their life. Or do they? Because maybe something is different, and something's happening we actually are just creating inside of our mind. And if you're gonna make stuff up in your mind, we might as well make stuff up that's useful, wonderful, and beautiful. See, it doesn't really matter what you subconsciously believe to be true as long as it's helpful for creating the kind of life that you want and the change that you want in your own life and the people around you. Most of our beliefs, they originate from childhood when we're incapable of seeing any gray areas or rationally thinking about anything, much like the elephant imaginarily chained to the floor. The problem is we don't realize something, that these beliefs are created and we fail to challenge them, and that's the only reason they're there. See, most of the time people have identity issues, and because of that they have totally false beliefs about themselves. They're not based in reality, their brain's capacity, the imagination that they have inside. You can have identity issues or false beliefs about external things like money or relationships, and your own personal beliefs start being formed by the reflections you receive from your parents. These reflections form the basis of your own self-worth and self-image when you accept them as a child, and later more reflections are held up from friends, from teachers, from coworkers, from spouses, from bosses, from people not succeeding, from struggles and frustration. But they're not true. The false beliefs we have about external things, from things that we hear, things that we see, things that we experience with our 5 senses, things we make up in our mind, things we read and watch and hear from the people we're associating with. These things form over time from the input we're receiving from the 5 senses, and then how we're interpreting those from the past beliefs. Now, these beliefs, a lot of times we just accept them and we operate on them. And they create our internal software programs, the operating system of your unconscious. People who aren't getting the results that they want, they generally have bugs in their personal software. Now, the reality is this: when we actually challenge these false beliefs, they never really hold up or make any sense at all. Getting rid of them is a process of de-hypnotizing yourself from the chains of society and the chains of the people that have tried to hold you down. I've broken it down into a 3-step process of breaking free that we talked about in a previous episode. And today I'm going to review those briefly and then teach you an even faster and more powerful way that I may have hinted at already, or maybe it's already happened for you. And these are the 3 steps. Step number 1, you want to identify the root of the belief. Step number 2, you want to challenge the basis for its existence. And then step number 3 is you want to replace that belief with a new, positive, transformational belief that you can step into instead. Constantly just challenging and replacing assumptions with more powerful beliefs about yourself and what you have the power to create will change everything in your life. Just if somebody says you're not the sharpest tool in the shed, you say, what does being smart have to do with the tool, or according to who? And then start to think about it, that doesn't mean anything, right? See, identifying beliefs can be difficult, which is why most clients who end up in therapy, they have no idea what's actually causing their problem. They're just showing up to try to solve some external circumstance, but the problem is a root inside. Whether their problems are in their relationships, whether they're from certain actions they're taking, the things that they're executing on, or whether they're physical issues like even panic attacks. And there's been some really weird stuff physically that I've seen too. I'll get into that in a future episode. Maybe I'll just keep that though for myself. But step 1, we're talking about identifying false chains by asking yourself a handful of questions. There's 4 of them that I'll give you right now. Do you ever feel anxious or fearful in situations that they don't pose any real physical threat? And ask yourself if there's a reason for that. If there's not a reason for that, it's probably a belief issue. When you're pursuing a goal, do you have thoughts like, I can't do this, or I don't deserve this come up? If you state an affirmation, does your brain argue with it, right? And most people, they never ask them that. They just repeat the affirmation more forcefully, but if you acknowledge that, you can change it. Do you ever have feelings of hopelessness or procrastination when you're moving towards a goal? because maybe you're not aligned and there's something inside messing up your ability to be motivated? Is the truth behind this assumption clouded by negative emotional energy? In other words, when you think about money, do you have negative or positive energy? The other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and he kept wanting to take the word profit out of a product we're making. And I was like, let me ask you something. Do you have negative feelings around the word profit, right? And then he was like, yes, I do. Good catch. I want you to ask yourself those questions and think about them very closely, because in that example, that could stop him from gaining profits. Not the best belief, right? You're going to come up with several answers every time you ask a question like this, and what you want to do is you want to figure out why you have these feelings and thoughts and get to the root of them. Think about the earliest events and memories that could have caused the beliefs that lead to these results to be formed. Now you can identify from that the belief that's causing the issue, and if you identify it, you can learn a new lesson and change it. You can journal about it. You can ask yourself, I journal a lot. You can ask yourself, what do you need to learn from this experience in order to have the emotional power to let it go, to believe something new that's more powerful and accurate about who you are and what you have the power to create in your life. Step number 2 is to challenge the belief. Ask yourself if there's any rational reason for believing such a thing. It's possible that the belief isn't 100% correct, and you can ask yourself that. Is this correct? Why should you continue to act in accordance with that belief if you don't even know for sure if it's true? Even if you're not even sure, you can challenge it and dismantle beliefs, because now you can acknowledge that you don't know for sure that it's true, and then get to a space where you discover that it's not even true at all and you just believed it. Or is the belief simply a reflection of an assumption that's not true, that was passed from another human being to you as you were being hurt by someone else who was also in deep pain, who was hurt by someone else? A chain of negativity passed through time. Break free. Step number 3 is to replace the belief with a new and more powerful version of the story that helps you create the future that you actually want to create in your life, with a new truth that aligns with that. Replacing beliefs is easy and can happen in an instant without even knowing what happened. The biggest obstacle is always self-doubt. If you hear yourself thinking or saying things like, this is never going to work for me, you could visualize the horse and rider analogy like we learned in a few episodes back, in this episode number 21. Because your logical left brain operating the old belief system is going to tell you things like this. It's going to say it's not going to work, but this is just the subconscious mind at work, operating in an old, out-of-date software system that needs a new download and update and a reboot of your hard drive, attempting to ride you down the old path, and you can just stop it and create a new one. As the fireworks, they begin to explode again in the background, you can use your unconscious mind as the rider to tug on the reins of your horse, steering it into the new and more empowering future that's full of new worlds that you're going to create out of the abundant well of power that flows to you from the center of time. And suddenly, as you're changing and your previous systems of thinking are unraveling, the child continues the conversation and says something you've never considered before. He says, "You're wondering how I'm bending this spoon, but you're not considering the truth, which is that there is no spoon. And when you realize that, you begin to realize that you're not bending the spoon. That's not possible. You're simply bending yourself, because you're bending something that you're imagining." The building suddenly vanishes and you stand up looking out over the people you love and realize you're transforming back into your little mad scientist self, watching your children play with each other as they're running through a beautiful playground in the distance. You reach into your pocket and you realize that your wallet's actually full of more money than you could possibly fit into such a small place. And as you spend it, it's replaced with a river of abundant cash flow that seems to come from nowhere as you realize selling suddenly has become easy and effortless, and you've changed already, haven't you? The building is gone. The spoon is gone. The chain is gone. The cubicle's gone. And you're putting a golden key into a bolted lock on a large metal door that begins to open as you step into your new mansion that's paid for with cash. Entering the future you've created first in your imagination, and realizing the truth that you were always here right now and had the key the entire time on a golden chain that's around your neck. And all you've needed to do is to pick it up and realize you've had this power the whole time, always in the palm of your hand. Are you ready to finally break free of those chains and the false beliefs that take the reins of your future and to take them and lead them in a new direction? Because I've created 3 powerful bonus shortcuts to help you do just exactly that, to just give you more value to give back. While delivering consistent value to the marketplace, you can unlock a door to your future with these strategies. These shortcuts are totally free. You don't have to buy anything, and getting access to these shortcuts is extremely simple. In your first daily shortcut, you're going to get a free PDF workbook that can be printed to help you develop a strategy to break free from the false beliefs that are holding you back from achieving your goals in your life. Writing things down is powerful. I want you to trust me on that. You're also going to receive a transcription of today's episode so that you can read and internalize these ideas in your own life. And in your second daily shortcut, you're going to download a free audio of today's episode so you can listen to this again and again. I'd recommend you listen to this 2 or 3 times through the day and drench your unconscious mind with the concepts you just learned. You'll be one step closer to your transformation of your identity, of your beliefs and values, of you and your world on the outside. And in your third and most important daily shortcut, I want to give you my entire business. The Total Shortcut System is going to be a gift for you, bonus number 3 on the next page, and it's generated over $195 million in sales in the past 5 years in my own company, and we're not talking houses, we're talking little info products here. Simply fill in your name and best email at the bottom of this page, just scroll down and you'll see it, then click the button that says, Give me the Total Shortcut, and you're going to be immediately taken to the next page where you can access your 3 free, powerful bonus shortcuts. I'm going to see you in the next episode of the Daily Shortcut. Now, what's the key that you've picked up and are now holding? Describe it in the comments and share this with someone that you know and love, because you've had it there the whole time, just waiting to realize there is no spoon and you're only bending yourself as you enter